Welcome to the world's #1 fitness business podcast for health club owners, gym managers, and fitness entrepreneurs. As always, this will be a great show as we have another expert to help your fitness business and your career. We'd like to thank our premier sponsor, Active Management, for supporting us, and we highly recommend becoming a member of Active Management to strengthen your business in 2016. There are loads of resources members receive, so join the Active Tribe today at www.activemgmt.com.au. Now that's enough from me. Let's welcome the show's amazing host, Chantal. What's on this week's show?
Thank you so much, Harper. And hey, everyone, can you believe we're already into week 3 of our Women in Fitness Month? This week, it's all about human resources. And we have the owner and director of People Engine, Kayley Riddle. Kayley actually began in health and fitness, working in group fitness and in personal training. So she's got a really great understanding of our industry. And during the show, Kayley tells us some important tools to use during an interview process. She tells us what not to do in a performance review, and she shares leadership tips for women in fitness. Also coming up later in the show, I've got a bonus segment for you, and it's all around successfully implementing small group training into your business. Plus, I want you to make sure that you listen out for this week's Pre-Core Quickfire 5 round with next week's guest, Michelle Bowden. It is an interview that you are going to love. Before we chat to this week's guest, it's time for me to ask you a really quick favour. As you know, it makes me incredibly proud and happy to know that our show is reaching people all across the world. And hopefully you're loving the information that you hear each week. So here's my favour. Could you jump onto Facebook and share one of our shows with a friend who you think will enjoy the information and benefit from the information? It can be another fitness business owner, a colleague, a mentor, or a staff member. Anyone at all. I would love you to help us share the knowledge and share the podcast love.
The Fitness Business Podcast is very appreciative of our podcast partners. Here's a quick word from one of our partners.
Are you ready to take control of your day-to-day management? Head to onefitstop.com for a complete platform to manage your fitness business. This week's flashback show is show 57 with the amazing Bill McBride. He talked about creation versus evolution and asked the question, what is right for your fitness business? So if you missed that show, go back and check it out. That is show 57 and you can find it on iTunes or at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Kayley Riddle is the owner and director of People Engine, working with businesses to align their workforce actions with their strategy every day to improve performance and profit. As I mentioned earlier, Kayley began in the health and fitness industry, working in group fitness and in personal training. She went on to perform in various management roles, including the National People Manager for the Australian LivingWell clubs within the Hilton International. With her experience in club rebranding and openings, she then relocated to London as a Director of Human Resources, leading teams and opening several hotels across the Hilton family of brands. Now, the head of People Engine, it is easy to see and to hear how Kayley's passion and experience have made her an expert coach in human resources. She recruits the best people, retaining them and maximising performance, which of course all leads to healthy profits. And it makes her the perfect guest for today's show. When we caught up, I started by asking Kayley why she thinks it is that so many fitness businesses don't have an HR department.
Well, I would say that they vary, but it's definitely an industry that doesn't tend to invest widely in proactive HR activities, which really doesn't make a lot of sense given that it's an industry that depends so much on their people and their engagement, passion, customer, member service. And it's also an industry that often struggles to attract and retain talent. So, yes, in my experience, often club owners look at policies and procedures in reaction to an issue, like poor performance or high staff turnover or compliance challenges. But this is pretty common across lots of small to medium businesses. So I would say don't beat yourself up about it too much. What I will say is it's an opportunity to give yourself a competitive advantage. So I have and still do work with club owners and managers who have invested proactively in annual HR plans in a similar way to what you would in a finance budget or a marketing plan, but focused strategically and tactically on the people engine of their business. And they see great alignment between the actions of the people in the business and the overall strategies of the business.
Okay, well, that brings me to an important question. So what would you recommend for our tribe of where they should actually start in regards to HR for their business?
Well, generally speaking, once a business owner has about 50 to 80 employees or are planning to grow, they appoint an HR manager who tends to focus on traditional transactional aspects of the HR employee life cycle. If they have less employees, they usually have someone who looks after the HR needs combined with something else, so admin or accounts. And either can work well if you've got a good system with relevant industrial links and the appropriate HR resources to stay focused on the strategic and tactical initiatives that you need in order to just ensure the sustainability or the growth of your business. You know, you can then, once you've got those foundations in place, and you can then, you know, balance those day-to-day operating activities like employing people, paying people, managing people, with really useful activities that improve the alignment of the people engine with the overall business strategy. So irrespective of the size of the business, if you can find the right external HR resource who can coach and support you as a business owner or support the internal HR resources, the business learns to fish when it comes to making HR work strategically and tactically. Now, this approach not only saves time, money and headaches, but it actually achieves really tangible business improvement and bottom line results.
Kayley, do you think that you could actually tell us about maybe some tools that you would recommend when it comes to selecting the right people for a role within our business? And maybe even you could share with us some questions that you would recommend that we should ask within an interview.
I like to ask behavioural questions so that the candidates will share examples of what they've done in the past in a similar environment. So whether it be sales, service or team environments. You know, I don't ask a lot of questions, but I really probe to make sure that they give a lot of descriptive detail about the situation, how they handled it, what the outcomes were, because I find this provides the best evidence in an interview. Get them doing lots of talking so I can really observe their behaviour. So my job is to ask a couple of good open questions and then to probe for detail. But Chantel, I always couple an interview with other forms of assessment before making the hiring decision. So this could be psychometric or cognitive assessment. It could be getting them to do role plays, skills test, group activities and interactions, discussions, reference checks. And that's going to sound really complex, but it can be done really simply. And what it does is it gives me really good evidence that ensures if I'm making a big decision like hiring someone, I'm making a sound decision.
Okay, Kayley, that sounds great. So when it comes to those tools that you'd recommend, can you delve into those just a little bit deeper and tell us about those?
Yes, so some examples that work really well. I'm a big fan of DISC profiling. It tends to give a really good indication of someone's workplace profile. And if it's a manager or a leader, I would do a manager profile, because then you know the style of the person. And there's lots of other ways you can do assessments, but that's my choice. I guess that's my preference. Role plays or any sort of interactive activity, so depending on the role itself, I think role plays work really well because you actually get to see their behaviour in a situation. And I always think that if you simulate the role as closely as possible, like what the job's going to be, you get to actually see real evidence of how they are going to behave. And if they can do it in a role play, they can do it in real life, let's face it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you find that businesses in general conduct performance reviews regularly?
Oh, wow, this is an interesting question. I've got mixed views on this one. Depends on the business and its culture. I think that a lot of people neglect it because of time or lack of training and confidence, because facilitating a conversation like that, you know, often you need support or access to resources. You know, I hate seeing performance reviews being done just as a tick box exercise where there's no meaning or substance to it. So that said, I don't think formal reviews are always essential. You know, some businesses use a really informal approach where they have meaningful feedback loops, they set objectives with their teams, they develop people in lots of different ways. And so long as it's aligned with what the business strategy is, that can be better in many cases.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that said, I mean, a lot of businesses do use formal processes for performance reviews, and as long as it's well designed, well delivered, well received, it can work really well. I guess the critical thing is, though, it needs to be two-way. It needs to be really open and honest and safe for both parties, and, always linked to development plans rather than a process of criticism or negativity. I usually work with business owners and managers to develop and implement a way that works for them and helps them achieve their overall business strategies. I love helping managers, have really meaningful performance conversations and, worked with leaders of all types of businesses to achieve much better alignment through developing a culture of accountability.
Now, this month right now, and the reason that we've got you on is because our focus is women in fitness. So I'm hoping that maybe we can explore some leadership tips for our female listeners. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Lots of thoughts on that. I guess what springs to mind and my general view is that leadership is a conscious choice. It's not a job title or something that someone gives you. It's about how you choose to think and behave and act. And I also think it's a journey. It continues forever. You're always learning and often from your mistakes or from taking risks. It's really important to give feedback and receive feedback and have a real culture of feedback around your leadership style. It's definitely about taking ownership, being human, I think we often forget. But I think also what's really important is to utilise coaching. Remember that all top performers, and I always think of the sporting analogies, all top performers utilise coaching. So, why wouldn't you if you were a leader and performance was really important to you?
Yeah, the team here at Fitness Business Podcast are very big believers in coaches and mentors. We think it's a really important part of growth for anyone at all. And tell me this, are there any specific books or online e-news or websites or even, Facebook groups that you suggest would be good to follow when it comes to, learning more about leadership or improving ourselves as a leader?
I mean, I'm a big fan of things like autobiographies and just taking from, learning from others. But I guess it depends on individuals. Like some people like to take a theoretical approach and learn good leadership theory, and others take their inspiration from stories. And I think storytelling is a really great way to learn. But I guess, I'm happy to provide a list of really great resources if that's helpful.
I think that would be fantastic. Yeah, if there's anything that you'd recommend that might be useful for any of our current leaders or our up-and-coming leaders, then that would be tremendous. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you were in the fitness industry originally, and you've been in HR for a while now. So what's kept you in the world of HR?
Well, I love the challenge of it being such an ever-evolving business discipline. I never feel like I've totally got it worked out because it's about people. But it's also, for me, a great balance of legal governance because I love problem solving. It's got all the systems and processes in as an element, and I love structure and organising But, above all, it's the people. I love to coach, as you've probably worked out, and I love developing people and teams to be the best they can. But above all, I love business. I love achieving results and improving outcomes and working collaboratively with really great people. So I guess that's what keeps me there.
It definitely sounds like you are passionate about being in HR. So what I'm hoping you can leave us with today, Kayley, is your very best Fitbispiration and tell us your top 3 tips for having a strong HR department. You know the deal. Before we hear Kayley's top 3 tips, here's a quick message from one of our wonderful sponsors.
Hey, it's JT here from the Industry Leaders Roundtable. Hope you are loving this month with all our inspiring women. If you want to grow, strengthen, enhance or hustle in 2017, run your business in agendas 2 and 3 like many of our women leaders that you've been listening to. What are agendas 2 and 3? Go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/roundtable for a free download.
Okay, tribe, here are Kayley's top 3 tips for having a strong HR department.
So I would say get your HR foundations in place, and this is going to manage risk and save time and money. So you get the foundations in place. The second one for me would be always employ the very best people you can and be really thorough in making such important decisions. And the third one would be to measure and benchmark your business annually, just on strategic alignment, culture, employee satisfaction. Those high engagement drivers are going to lead to high business performance and profitability, and that's what we're all after.
They are sensational tips to leave us on. Kayley, thank you so much for joining us today on the show.
My pleasure, Chantal.
Get ready for this week's bonus segment, your extra injection of information, education, and inspiration to strengthen your fitness business.
For this week's bonus segment, I invited along Sue Richards from Tribe Team Training to talk us through the benefits a structured small group training program can deliver to a club and to share with us the latest news happening with Tribe. Tribe, I am here today with Sue Richard, the Coaching Director of Tribe Team Training. Welcome along to the show, Sue.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
Now, I've got a Canadian accent, but you're actually sitting in New Zealand right now. Is that correct?
I am. I've been here for about 22 years, so I feel like I'm a little bit of both. Half Kiwi, half Canadian.
What a good mix. Well, look, I thought that maybe you could start off today by telling us a little bit about, as the Coaching Director of Tribe Team Training, what does that involve?
Yeah, that's a really good question. When we started with Tribe Team Training, coaching direction was super important to us because it was all about developing training, developing systems, developing the right coaching so that we can implement it into clubs and that trainers and coaches knew exactly how to deliver small group training. So very much my role is about developing the training, developing the modules, ensuring that the education is up to speed, really, so that we're with the latest research out there, and very much just involves creating all the education and training behind what the coaches go through in order to become certified as a Tribe Team Training coach.
Okay, I thought maybe we could, or you might be able to share with us a story, perhaps of a club that has introduced Tribe Team Training and how it actually benefited the members and the coaches.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's so many great stories out there, it's a great question because one of them that really sticks out to me is a club that, offered so many different exercise offerings, from small group training varieties to group fitness to personal training. And what they found is they thought they were doing something really, really well with their small group training. But when we sat down and talked to them about Tribe and how it can make a difference in their club, it was huge because the implication of introducing Tribe created a standalone department within their club, which was something that I think in the industry we're finding now. We know it's the fastest growing sector. We know that small group training is really, as I just said, the fastest growing part of the fitness industry. So what we're finding is that clubs were a little bit lost. Where did small group training sit? Did it sit in personal training? Did it sit in group fitness? So once they got their head around, hey, actually, this is a standalone department, and this is something that I could implement in my club to create profit and revenue for our club. So the story that sticks to mind is this club that went ahead with Tribe. And it was fantastic because what that did was exactly that. It created a standalone department within their club. Profits were absolutely outstanding. And what it also did from the training perspective is it created a culture within their club where trainers went through specific training. The club was also in control of what they were offering because a lot of these people were independent contractors. So they came along and they learned about this product. So the club was in control of the product. The trainer or coach knew exactly how to deliver this product. And what that did was it brought great benefits to the members because they were able to progress within their training. Because again, a lot of the clubs had people doing what they thought was really great small group training, which it was, but unfortunately they didn't really know what they were offering, what the trainers were offering. So by taking Tribe, they really understood that the members were gaining great benefits within their training. The club now had a standalone department within their club, and it did create an amazing culture within the club itself, within staff, because all of a sudden with Tribe Team Training, we know it's about accountability. We know it's a part of belonging. And we know that that replicates itself within the culture of the trainers as well. So this club stood out to me because it started with what they thought were, they were offering really great small group training, and they were offering 3 to 4 sessions per week. And by the end of 2 seasons of Tribe Team training, they were offering over 40 to 50 sessions per week. So it was just a massive growth and increase.
So that is such a great example. Do you think you can tell us a little bit more about the financial benefits that club experienced as a result of implementing Tribe?
Yeah, absolutely. The exciting thing for us was to see how quickly they grew, like I just mentioned. But more importantly, from the financial side of things, this club, from earning nothing out of their small group training department, which didn't even exist, it was just one of the offerings they had on their timetable, they started earning on average $25,000 per season. And so what we do is we offer 7 seasons per year. So if you quickly do the math, they were earning quite a lot more than they were before, which was nothing. So for them, earning between $200,000 and $220,000 extra a year to their bottom line was massive.
So what do you find are the most common objections people have when it comes to implementing small group training?
Yeah, great. Again, I think a lot of people feel when we speak to them, or when I've spoken to them personally myself, they'll say, hey, look, we already do something like this. This is something that we offer already. What's Tribe? How could that be different? Now, look, Tribe is a turnkey solution really to small group training. So we offer everything from training all the way through to what we call season releases. And so very much the objection is that they feel that they're doing this already, but they're not. They're really not reaching their full potential with what they can achieve within their club with small group training. Some clubs are really tapping into 30-40% of their membership base alone that are doing Tribe Team training. And, I am a club owner myself, and I look at our membership base, and 45% of my members are participating in Tribe Team training on top of already my personal training department and my group fitness department. So for us, really, it's all about implementing the right small group training to increase, like we talked about at the beginning, have a standalone small group training department, but really making sure that it's quality, that members are getting results, that trainers are getting the education that they need to deliver great small group training sessions. And for us also, we trial everything. We put it through rigorous testing. We stay up with the latest trends, and we make sure that the education we provide and the training we deliver is really world class. So not only are clubs getting the benefit of a world class product, but they're also getting the training associated with that.
So let's just finish off. I want you to tell us, so what is happening with Tribe over the next, say, 6 months?
Exciting times ahead. And again, like we said, what's interesting to me is, like we just talked about at the start, this is a standalone department, and yet it sits somewhere, again, when you go to all the biggest conferences around the world, it's a little bit lost still. When you hear about small group training, you might sit under the group fitness or the personal training, whereas it's like, no. So we are the world leaders in small group training. So for us in the next 6 months, it's about continuing to build the education around that. Delivering small group training is different to delivering personal training. It is different to delivering group exercise. So it is about delivering for us, it's building and growing the education side of small group training, not only from a club perspective financially and how they can make and implement it into their club, but also from that coaching perspective and going, how can we make great coaches? Because we know already how to make group fitness instructors fabulous. We know how to make fabulous personal trainers, but how do we make fabulous small group training coaches and Tribe Team training coaches? So really over the next 6 months, that's where we're heading. Continuing education, continuing to do what we do and develop great programs.
Sue, I want to say thank you so much for coming on to the Fitness Business Podcast today. It's been such a pleasure having you on the show. You have amazing energy, and I bet you inject that into your Tribe Team training sessions. So thank you for coming on, educating us on what is possible. And for more information on Tribe Team training, we of course have all of the links in today's show notes. Sue, thank you once again for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
Precore Quickfire 5.
Michelle Bowden is an expert in persuasive presenting in business and one of only 35 Australian female CSPs, that is, Certified Speaking Professionals. The CSP is the highest designation for speakers in the entire world. I've had the pleasure of working with, learning from Michelle in the past. I am so thrilled to have you on the show. Welcome along to the Fitness Business Podcast, Michelle.
Oh, thank you so much.
Very, very excited to have you here. Now, are you ready for your quick fire 5 questions?
Yes, hit me.
Tell everyone, why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I love the feeling that I get when I transform someone from being ineffective to effective. Improving someone's persuasive skills is the gift of success, and that's the gift of a happy life. People are going from beige to bedazzling. It's excellent.
And what's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Be yourself.
What's a personal habit that helps you become better at what you do?
I always ask myself, is this my best? Is this my personal best? Is this the best thing that I can do in this moment? So in a conversation I'm having, is this my best foot going forward? In my selling, in my training, always asking, is this my best?
That's a great habit. Michelle, tell us, what's one book that you'd recommend and why?
Oh, my favourite ever book in the whole world is Choosing Happiness by Stephanie Dowrick. Amazing book that will make you happy and successful and amazing in life.
Love it. And why should our tribe come back next week and listen to our main interview?
Oh, my goodness, because the gift of persuasion is the gift of success. And the gift of success is the gift of a happy life for you and all your clients. Of course, you should come back and listen next week.
Michelle, I love your energy. I'm so excited to be having you back on the show. So everyone stay tuned for Michelle's main interview in next week's show.
It's time for the Fitness Business Podcast Wrap.
Here are my top takeaways from this week's show. If you don't have an HR department, then consider investing in an annual HR plan for your business. Kayley said that role play works well in an interview because you get to see people's behaviour. She said make sure that when it comes to performance reviews, you're not just doing it to tick a box. Always link performance reviews to development plans. She said as a leader, it's important to utilise coaching and always make sure you measure and benchmark your business annually. Tribe, we have just 1 week left of our Women in Fitness Month, and as you heard from the earlier Quickfire 5, next week's guest is Michelle Bowden. It's an interview that you do not want to miss. She is a superstar, and I promise there will be so many things that you get from that show that it is going to set you up for a sensational 2017, so don't miss it. Thank you so much for joining me for another week of the Fitness Business Podcast. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
Great show this week that you should be suffering DOMs, delayed onset mind soreness, as you are overloaded and that's when your mind is strengthened. You and your business have been strengthened thanks to the amazing support of our premier sponsor, Active Management. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au only if you want to strengthen your business and your leadership. Don't forget all today's links and notes are found at www.fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, where you can also subscribe and never miss a show and maybe win a prize. Next week is another incredible guest with Chantal, so get ready for more Fit Bizpiration.